Hello everyone! We're week 23, cycle 3, history sentence. Tell me about preamble to the US Constitution. Let's go with our hand motion first. We, not just me and you, but we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, give peace, provide for the common defense, promote for the general welfare, and secure the blessings of the liberty to ourselves and our posterity, next generation. To ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So this week we're gonna talk about preamble to the U.S. Constitution. What is preamble means? It's introduction. So if you look at the U.S. Constitution, we study about U.S. Constitution, right? It has a very short sentence. It's introduction of how the U.S. as a leader, they're going to rule the country. So preamble is an introduction to the Constitution. It announced that the people in the United States have to set up their own government to keep peace at home and to defend themselves against other countries. There are a lot of countries, they want to get the American land. They just found new land, right? There are a lot of people, a lot of nations still coming to want to get the land and expand their dream countries, right? So the U.S. government is saying, oh no, we will defend ourselves against other countries. And that the government will do what needs to be done to provide freedom for all people, right? So what is about Constitution? Actually, set up their own government. In the history we learned so far, there was one time, the first time they set up their own government. What was it? In the past, when America was just colonized by Great British, right?
Compact.
Yeah, Mayflower Compact. Mayflower Compact. What was about Mayflower Compact?
That they will agree to work together.
Yeah, they want. There's a people of group. What is it called? What is the people who were in the boat, in the ship, for the Mayflower Compact? Pilgrims. They're trying to find their freedom of worshiping God. However they want to worship their God, they want to find the freedom. So they are crossing the Atlantic Ocean to want to set new life for the first time, right? Or they're actually trying to reach, what was their destination? Jamestown. That was the first permanent colonies, right? So they're trying to go there, but something happened on the way there. Suddenly there's a storm come and brought this ship to new place, right? So captain's announcing that, oh no, we are not going to arrive the destination where we wanted to go, but we're going different place. So now that means you don't have any government. You don't have anybody to rule. You need to set up your own government. So in the little ship there, Mayflower Compact, they are making promise. They choose their own leader. They vote, the men vote to choose a leader, and they decide to set their own government, right? So that was first time in US that set up their own government. So let's talk about it. It starts with what? We the people. But before we start with the preamble to the Constitution, let's talk about it. Throughout the Revolution, the American colonies operated as a loose confederation. They had a union. They're trying to unite it together, but it was very weak. And they also wrote their document. It's called Articles of Confederation. This governing document gave very limiting powers to the central government. Government didn't still have a stronger power. It was very weak. And after a revolution, the US government was having a lot of difficulty. They confront of this weak government and realized, the founding father realized, oh, we need to have stronger government, central government to unite it, making form a more perfect union. Right? So we can guess from the sentence, oh, form a more perfect union. Before it wasn't perfect union, right? It was very limiting powers to the central government. So after Revolutionary War, America was having very weak and difficult time. They didn't have no standard currency. So you are in Maine state and you are going to travel to Massachusetts and you are trying to buy some of things and you're trying to pay with your money, but they had different money system. So America didn't have the standard currency. So it was very confusing, right? So you are trying to make each state unify to make it one perfect union, but money is different. So when you travel to other state, so confusing. And no process for medicating border lines. And no plan to repay the war debt to France. France helped America to fight against who? Great Britain, right? Why France help?
So that they can later their enemy is England. They wanna
France and England, they're always enemy, right? So even the French didn't let English to win the battle. So trying to help America. But then after the war, America have to repay to the French. But how do we do that? They don't have any plan. And no national militaries. Remember, it was like 1 minute man? Anybody just get ready for fight for the country? Just fight. Didn't have really training, didn't have the training soldiers. So no national militaries. And no central body with the authority to sign treaties with foreign countries. Nobody was able to write about the foreign treaties, and there's nothing like that. So America's founding father, desire we need to have a clear written document to outline the new national government. Does it make sense? So it was 1787. The representative from each of the 13 states, they get together at the Constitutional Convention. Where was it? In Philadelphia. It was very hot summer. I'm sure you guys already know the story about that. And some representative called anti-federalist. Well, anti-federalist, they wanted most power to one of the government. Just they want to give the power to legislative. They don't want to give the power to the king. Why? They don't want to make a king. Because they just get independent from the king, right? So they're so worried that if the US new government, they give another king stronger power, it's going to be just same thing over again. It's not gonna be set up our own government. It will be more king is ruling, just like what they just had. So anti-federalists, they didn't want anything giving the strong power to the king, to one leader. But the federalists, they say, no, we need stronger central government. Because now we have so much traveling. So we are so weak. We need a strong government to rule over and solve all these problems. No standard currency and no process for the borderlines and no plan to how to repay back to the francs. That's a huge money. No military. The problem is just so much. We need to have a central power, stronger power. So they are arguing and couldn't really make their ideas together. So finally, for many days, they discussed each other. They decide to let's divide 3 branches, our power. Our government will have 3 branches. What is it? Legislative, and executive, and judicial. They try to divide this one power to 3, so no one will be just bigger than the other. It will be balancing. And if the other branch is doing something wrong, then the other one will check each other. So legislative and executive and judicial, they are divided by 3. And why? So prevent one strong central power, one eases. So the legislative, they have 2 groups, right? It's our Congress, right? So what is the people there? There's a senator. What is senator? Each state choose 2 leaders. Doesn't matter how big is your state or how small is your state. Doesn't matter. Every state, you choose 2 people to represent the government. And then there's a House of Representatives. And this is followed by the population. If you have more people in your state, you will have more leaders, because more people means more problems. So they will have more leaders. And small states like Maine or Rhode Island, and you will have less people, so you will have a less number of the representative. So they together become legislative, right? And they are making the law, and they declare the war. And what happened to that? What is executive? They have the leader, president, right? And what is a judicial? They're kind of like make sure all this are following the rule, and the Supreme Courts belong there. So they are sharing their powers. And what happens if the Congress becomes so big and they're making the law? And then if they ask, what do you think about the law, president, and president can do what?
He can
say veto. No, I don't agree with that. So then they go back to the legislative and discuss. What do you think? Okay, let's make a new law here. No gum at school. You cannot chew gum. You cannot bring the gum to the school. That's new law, right? No gum at school. They agree, senator agree, and House of Representatives, they all agree. So they suggest, they are making new law, no gum at school. And the president say, what kind of law is that? I don't like that law. That doesn't make sense. And then he veto. Then they go back to their, maybe we can say no gum at school on Monday, Wednesday. And they will have some special reasons why. And then they go back to president. So they will actually work together, and it kind of really prohibits one power becomes so strong and the other will be weaker. No, they will have to have a balance. So we call it checks by the one strong central power, these 3 powers separated to 3, they all together by checks and balance. Does it make sense? Right. So let's talk about actually our preamble to the US Constitution. We the people of the United States, Who are the we? Who are the we? This means all the citizens of our country are coming all together. And they emphasize the idea that the power and authority of the government come from the people, not the government. But the idea and the power, authority come from people. But there was some case in the before who was rejected by the Constitution. Dred Scott. What happened to his?
He would put his case to court, but they didn't allow him.
Why? He was
not a
black
citizen.
and he was slaves, right? He said, I was in the free state. I was actually my master when I was a slave state, and later my master brought me to the free state. So once I was free, but then later they came back to Missouri. So he became the slave again. But once I was free, how can I be slave again? So he brought his case to Supreme Court, and then judges said what? Oh no, this one, your case is not applying to we, the people. Why? Because you are black, you are not U.S. citizen. What does that mean? You are just property. You are just like stuff. You are not human. That was very sad. That was a saddest. The result of the Supreme, one of this, the result from the Supreme Court, the judge did. Anyway, so now we the people, we are the one is making and set up our own government. We speak our ideas, share our thoughts, and we are the one making and set up the government and with power authority. And okay, let's continue. We, the people of the United States, in order to means is explain the purpose and what is about for the briefly about the Constitution. Form a more perfect union. If you look at the sentence, it has more. So they're trying to make perfect union before with what? The Articles of the Confederation. But they fail. So this time, we are not going to be same. We are going to be stronger and make perfect union. Before, each state, after they declare we're independent from Great British, they say, oh, each state they're trying to make their own military. Each state has different way of living and rule, and they also had a different money. So it was very difficult to make perfect union. So now in order to form a more perfect union, right? It will be better and work even smoother than before. And it reflects the idea to create a stronger and more unified nation than before. Okay, let's continue. So in order to form a more perfect union. And what's the second idea? Establish justice. Think of refugees in the game making sure referee is making sure everybody play fairly, right? Are you cheating? No, everybody play. Do you skip your turn? No, everybody has your own turn and everyone plays fairly. So the government, the U.S. Constitution say everyone will be, they will make sure everybody will be fair and right. It has a right for everybody. Okay, what's next? Ensure domestic tranquility. Tranquility means peace, right? So they will make sure domestic. When you are living in America, we'll make sure you will have a protection everyone from outside problems. So we want our country to be like peaceful and calm place to live. Okay? And provide for common defense. This is interesting. Common defense. Provide for the common defense. Imagine you and your friends are building a fort together to protect everybody from outside problems, right? And this is about making sure our country is safe from the foreign countries, right? So like for example, like Cold War, what was Cold War? Who were the competing? US and Soviet Union. And Soviet Union is trying to making a stronger nuclear power. And what does America do? You need to provide, the government providing for common defense. There are some other countries trying to attack America. So we're making sure everyone in US will have peaceful and happy and healthy life. Okay? Okay. So next, promote the general welfare. Promote the general welfare. Welfare here means the well-being or like happiness for everybody. So this part is about making sure all the people are happy and healthy. Next, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. I love how the founding fathers, they think about next generation. That when they wrote this document, they are not just selfishly thinking about current generation. They thought about next generation. And they thought about their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They thought about for the future generations. So they say, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. The liberty here means freedom. Freedom. This says, do you know why we said the liberty of Statue of Liberty? Because when immigrants come to US from the New York Harbor, they see, wow, now we entered America, we have freedom. So secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. The liberty means freedom, and this says we want to make sure we keep our freedom, not just for us, but also for our kids and their kids and future generations. Right? And so that was all the list. Let's see. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union and establish justice and ensure domestic tranquility and provide for common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the last one, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain, we'll follow this. We're going to install this, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Finally, this is saying we officially create and put into action these rules for our country, the United States of America. So the preamble is like a big introduction to the rules of our countries, and it tells us that we're all in this together, making sure a great fair place for everyone, not just except blah blah except no, for everybody, everyone to live, right? So what is really talking about here? Lots of things about freedom and safety and peace, right? To make what? Perfect union. More perfect union. That was the preamble to the Constitution. And I want to talk about something special here, because we've been talking about U.S. history and we learn about democracy, and we also talk about the Cold War with communism. So let's see what is the most significant difference? What is the big difference between the United States Constitution and the typical communist constitution? Who is communist? North Korea and China. Still, there are a lot of countries, a few countries are still following the communist, right? So let's talk about its biggest idea. So there's 5 things we can talk about it. Founding principles. So U.S. Constitution is based on democracy, right? And individual right and limiting government. What happens if you have a big government? Then your individual right and your individual liberty is not important. So U.S. government very emphasizing the protection of individual liberty and the division of power among these executive and legislative and judicial branches, right? What about communism? The communist constitution influenced by who? The Lenin and Marxist. Yeah, they got the idea. And their priority is individual freedom? No, their priority is collective ownership. That means like production or establish of the classless society. There's no classes, everybody fair. Sounds good, but actually not. This constitution often emphasizes just leading roles for of the Communist Party. The individualism or individual's right and freedom is less important. What is more important? What is more important? Collective ownership. Everybody fair. But it's not actually fair. Okay, what about economic system? What is the U.S. Constitution economic system? It protects private property right. So well-being, right? Welfare. Promote the general welfare, common defense, and domestic tranquility. It's all talking about that. And private property right. Your house owned by you. That's yours, right? Nobody can ever just come to you. Nobody has, you are the one owner, right? How about communist constitution? The product of often owned by collectively. So economic decisions is not guided by the central. The economic decisions are guided by the central planning. So, like for example, if you want to buy a house in America, can you buy your house? Can you own your house?
No.
In America?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Can you own your land? Yes. It's yours, right? How about 100 years later? Is it still yours?
Uh-huh.
That's yours, right? But in China, let's talk about one of the country, the example. In China, you cannot buy property. It's not yours. You will never own the house. So actually, they let you make it sound kind of fair. So you can buy buy you own the house, but the land you built on the land, you cannot buy yours. The land is never yours. The land belongs to government. So what happened? The house is yours, but the land is not yours. So what does that mean?
That means
Eventually it's not yours, right? And you can only lease it. You can. I had a Russian friend, and he was saying, "Oh, in Russia, if you have like 2 kids, I don't know, it's because of the kids, but they give you just free house. How nice!" And he said, "I just don't go to work, and then I go to work, and it just don't work there." So he was actually talking about that, and what happened if nobody work? Who's producing the product and who's making money, right? So economy will not really growing well. Okay, let's talk about individual right. In the U.S. Constitution, particularly through the Bill of Rights. Next week, we're going to talk about Bill of Rights. It guarantees the individual right and the freedom. So many times we actually can see the freedom, right? You will make sure your freedom and your built on this constitution, right? So this includes freedom of speech. We're gonna talk about next week for the Bureau, right? So freedom of speech and religion. You can choose whatever you believe. You have a freedom of worship, whatever you want in America, and protection against unreasonable search and unreasonable searches. And the focus is safeguarding. We're gonna make sure you are safe. The individual liberty against the government. But communist constitution, the priority is collective welfare over individual freedom. What does that mean? Is your individual freedom more important than the majority people, the collective?
No.
No. Priority, the collective welfare, is more important than individual freedom. So the limitation on individual liberty, that's more important. That's that the communist constitution saying. What a political system. U.S. Constitution, we just talked about it. Under a democratic system, that means you vote what the leader you want to choose, right? With regular election. And separating the powers, U.S. government was 3 branches separated, right? So divide the power, so not just one power will be bigger than the other, right? With multiple, we have a multiple parties, Republicans or Democratic, right? Political differences. But in the communist constitution, only one party system, right? And it's centralizing of power and limiting political the freedom. And the last one is amendment process. If you want to add something to Constitution, what do? The U.S. Constitution can be amended through the deliberate and the formal process outline. There's a rule how to make it, how to add it, right? So we learn about amendment of how do you define U.S. citizen. Whoever born in U.S. will be U.S. citizen. So dress code. If he dress code decision was he's black, he's slave, it's not applied to you. We the people, you are not included, right? But later doesn't make sense because America went through what? Second Great Awakening. So people, Christians realize how bad to have slavery, right? Because why? Black people also, they are image of God. Coram Deo, right? So people realize that's wrong. So they added U.S. citizen, whoever born America will be called U.S. citizen. And later, other thing also, they got the vote, right? And another amendment we learned so far, women's vote, right? Woman has right to vote. So that's how we add it. Right? People have share their ideas and there's a process of doing it. How about communist constitution?
No.
Changes are often subject to the approval of ruling party and the centralized authority. So basically, doesn't matter you want to change, but if the central power, you are the centralized authority say no, then cannot. So, for example, I have one of friends from China. He said, right now the leader in China is called Xi Jinping. He just changed constitution. In U.S. constitution, president only can rule 2 terms, run 2 times presidency, which means 8 years maximum. Before, what do you know why why they have to wrote that?
Yeah, President Roosevelt served for 16 years.
Yeah, because he had to go through the World War I. So he run actually 4 times presidency. So, okay, we cannot do that. Let's write down. So presidency only can do 2 terms, which means maximum 8 years, right? But Xi Jinping in China, the Communist Party, changed the constitution to he will rule forever. There's no rules how many years it will be the leader. So if the authority want to have, okay, just change it. And there's no other party will debate and discuss and which is right. No, there's no freedom like that. Just one communist party, centralized authority will make decision. That's very sad, right? So let's summarize it. The U.S. Constitution and the Communist Constitution, what is the biggest difference? The significant the difference is U.S. Constitution is all about the individual right and democratic principles and market-oriented economy. You can sell whatever you want, you can make whatever you want, you can exchange, you can have economy freedom. The Communist Constitution is all about collective ownership. Your individual freedom, right, not important, right? And the central planning, they just plan everything with one central power. And pursue of full social equality of all members. So they say everybody is equal. Actually not. They're abusing the idea. So that was about the Constitution and about the preamble to the U.S. Constitution. So let's appreciate and be thankful to our country. And as you study more history, and you will know how important it is and how our founding father said and wrote, think about not just only apply to themselves, but to the next generation and we the people. Why? Because we are the one own the government, set up the own government. What that means, the government will listen to the people's idea and people's thought, and protect your liberty and justice for all, right? Thank you for listening. Cycle 3, week 23 history. Bye.